Social anchoring is a psychological concept where people rely heavily on the first piece of information they get when making decisions. This first piece of information acts like an anchor, and it influences how they think about everything that comes after it. Imagine you're shopping for something, and you see a price. That price will stick in your mind and affect how you judge the price of similar items. Even if the first price isn't the best or most accurate, it still influences your decisions. Examples of anchoring. Shopping discounts. If a store shows a jacket originally priced at $200 but now on sale for $100, you see the $200 price first. The $100 price seems like a great deal because you're anchored to the higher price, even if $100 is the actual value of the jacket. Salary negotiation. During a job interview, if the employer mentions a starting salary of $60,000, you might anchor to that number when negotiating, even if your skills are worth more. The $60,000 becomes your reference point. Real estate. If a house is listed for $500,000, that price anchors your perception of the house's value. Even if the house is overpriced, you might think a slightly lower offer is a bargain because you're anchored to the initial price. Restaurant menus. A menu might list an expensive dish first, like a $50 steak. Even if you don't order it, the other dishes seem more reasonably priced because you're anchored to that $50. This might make you more willing to pay $30 for a different dish. Negotiating a car purchase. When buying a car, the dealer might start with a high price, such as $30,000. This high price anchors your expectation, so if the dealer drops it to $28,000, you might think you're getting a good deal, even if the car's true market value is lower. Anchoring can happen in any situation where numbers or information are involved. It's important to be aware of it so you can make more informed decisions, rather than being influenced by the first piece of information you see. Do you know social proof is a psychological concept that means people tend to do what they see others doing? It's like when you're in a new situation and you're unsure what to do, so you look around and follow what others are doing. It's our brain's way of saying, if everyone else is doing it, it must be the right thing to do. Examples of social proof. Restaurant crowds. Imagine two restaurants side by side. One is packed with people, and the other is empty. Even if you've never been to either, you might choose the crowded one, thinking it must be better since so many people are there. Online reviews. When you're shopping online and see that a product has thousands of positive reviews, you're more likely to buy it because other people have already shown it's a good choice. Tip jars. If you see a tip jar that's already got some money in it, you're more likely to add a tip yourself. The idea is, if others are tipping, maybe you should too. Social media likes. On social media, if a post has a lot of likes or shares, you're more likely to view it and even like or share it yourself because others have already shown it's worth their attention. Celebrity endorsements. When a celebrity endorses a product, it creates social proof. People think, if they use this, maybe I should too, because the celebrity's approval suggests the product is valuable. Social proof is powerful because it taps into our natural instinct to fit in and make safe choices based on the actions of others. Do you know reciprocity is a powerful psychological principle that works on the idea that when someone does something for us, we naturally feel a strong urge to return the favor. It's like a built-in social rule that helps maintain balance in relationships. When we receive kindness, help, or even a gift, we often feel a little pressure, even if we don't realize it, to give something back in return. 5 examples of reciprocity. A free sample: imagine you're at a grocery store, and someone offers you a free sample of a new snack. Even though it's free, you might feel more inclined to buy the product because you feel like you should give something back for the kindness. Helping a neighbor: if your neighbor helps you move some heavy furniture into your house, you might feel motivated to help them out in the future, perhaps by offering to mow their lawn or watch their house when they're on vacation. Holiday gifts: during the holiday season, if a colleague gives you a small gift, you might feel the need to give them something in return, even if you hadn't planned on it. The act of receiving makes you feel like you should reciprocate. Charity donations: often, charities will send small gifts, like address labels or calendars, when they ask for donations. The idea is that by giving you something first, you'll feel more inclined to make a donation in return. Offering a compliment: if someone compliments you on your outfit, you might feel a natural inclination to return the compliment, perhaps by saying something nice about their hairstyle or shoes. Reciprocity works because it taps into our natural desire to maintain fairness and balance in social interactions. It's a fundamental aspect of human relationships that helps build trust and cooperation. Do you know the Zeigarnik effect is a psychological phenomenon that refers to the tendency of people to remember unfinished tasks better than completed ones? In simpler terms, when you start something and don't finish it, your mind keeps it active, reminding you about it more than tasks you've already completed. Imagine your brain as a to-do list. When something on that list isn't checked off, your brain keeps nudging you, saying, "Hey, don't forget to finish this." But once it's done, your brain is more likely to let it go and move on to other things. 5 examples of the Zeigarnik effect. Studying for a test. If you study half of a chapter and leave the other half for later, you're more likely to remember the unfinished part because your brain keeps reminding you about it. This can actually help you focus better on that part when you come back to it. Watching a TV series. Have you ever noticed that cliffhangers at the end of an episode make you think about the show more? That's the Zeigarnik effect. The unresolved story keeps popping into your mind, urging you to watch the next episode. Unfinished chores. If you start cleaning your room but get distracted and leave it half done, you'll probably keep thinking about that unfinished cleaning job until you get back to it. This effect helps you remember that you still have something left to do. Interrupted conversations. If someone asks you a question but then gets interrupted before you can answer, you'll likely keep thinking about what you were going to say. The conversation feels incomplete, so your brain keeps it active. Writing a report. If you begin writing a report and stop midway, the unfinished task will stay on your mind. You'll likely feel a push to get back to it and finish, because the incomplete work lingers in your thoughts more than tasks you've already completed. The Zeigarnik effect helps explain why we sometimes feel restless when we have unfinished tasks. It can be a useful tool for improving memory or motivation, but it can also be a source of stress if we have too many things left undone. Do you know the foot in the door technique is a psychological strategy used to get someone to agree to a larger request, by first getting them to agree to a smaller one? Think of it as opening a door just a little bit to get your foot inside. Once the foot is in, it becomes easier to push the door open wider. Why does the foot in the door technique work? Commitment and consistency. People like to be seen as consistent in their behavior. Once they say yes to a small request, they are more likely to say yes to a larger request because they want to act consistently with their previous decision. Building trust and comfort. When someone agrees to a small request, they start to feel comfortable with the person making the request. This trust makes them more open to agreeing to a bigger request later. Self-perception change. After agreeing to a small request, people might start seeing themselves as helpful or cooperative. This change in self-perception makes them more likely to comply with bigger requests in the future. Examples of the foot-in-the-door technique. Charity donations. A charity worker asks you to sign a petition to support a cause, a small request. Later, they ask you to donate money to the cause, a larger request. Since you already agreed to the first request, you're more likely to feel obligated to comply with the second. Sales tactics. A salesperson offers you a free sample of a product, a small request. After you accept it, they then try to sell you the full-sized product, a larger request. Because you've already accepted the sample, you might feel more inclined to make a purchase. Volunteering. A friend asks if you could help them for a few minutes with organizing a small event, a small request. After you agree and help out, they ask if you could volunteer to help at the event for several hours, a larger request. Since you've already started helping, you're more likely to continue. Political campaigns. A campaign worker asks if you could put a small sticker supporting a candidate on your car, a small request. Later, they ask if you could put a large sign in your yard, a larger request. Since you've already shown support in a small way, you might feel more compelled to show greater support. Digital marketing. A website asks you to sign up for a free newsletter, a small request. Once you've signed up, they send you emails asking you to purchase a subscription or buy products, a larger request. Since you've already shown interest by signing up, you're more likely to consider making a purchase. The foot-in-the-door technique works because it relies on our desire to be consistent, builds trust, and can subtly change how we see ourselves. Understanding this technique helps us recognize when it's being used on us and allows us to use it wisely in our own interactions. Do you know scarcity is a powerful psychological principle that influences people's decisions and behavior by creating a sense of limited availability? When something is perceived as scarce or in short supply, it becomes more desirable. This happens because people tend to fear missing out on rare or unique opportunities, which makes them more likely to act quickly to secure the scarce item or experience. Imagine you're at a store and see two items on a shelf. One has plenty of stock, while the other has only one left. Even if the two items are similar, you're more likely to feel a stronger urge to grab the one that's almost gone. This is because scarcity makes us think that the item is popular, valuable, or won't be available later, increasing its appeal. Why does scarcity work? Fear of missing out. People don't want to miss out on something that others have or something they might never get again. Perceived value. When something is scarce, we believe it must be valuable or high in demand, even if it's not necessarily better than other options. Urgency. Scarcity creates a sense of urgency, encouraging people to make quicker decisions instead of thinking things through. Examples of scarcity. Limited time offers. Think about a sale that is only available for 24 hours. Even if you weren't planning to buy anything, the limited time might make you feel like you need to act quickly before the opportunity is gone. Exclusive access. A new restaurant might open but only allow reservations for a few people each night. Because not everyone can get in, it feels like a special and exclusive experience, making people more eager to try it. Sold out products. Online stores often show items as only 2 left in stock. This creates a sense of scarcity. Even if you weren't looking to buy that item right away, seeing that it's almost sold out might push you to make a purchase sooner. Limited editions. A brand might release a limited edition product, like a special color of a phone or a rare collectible toy. Knowing that there are only a few available makes people feel like they need to get it before it's gone forever. High-demand events. Concerts or events often sell tickets quickly. If you see that tickets are selling out fast or that there are only a few seats left, you're more likely to buy tickets right away to ensure you don't miss out. By understanding scarcity, you can see how businesses and people use this principle to influence decisions. Recognizing when scarcity is being used can help you make more informed choices and not feel pressured to act just because something seems limited. Do you know the bandwagon effect is a psychological phenomenon where people do something primarily because others are doing it? The idea is that the more people who adopt a particular behavior, belief, or trend, the more likely others are to jump on the bandwagon and follow suit. Why does the bandwagon effect work? Desire for social belonging. People naturally want to fit in and be part of a group. When they see others doing something, they feel a subconscious pull to do the same to feel included. Perception of popularity equals rightness. There is a common belief that if many people are doing something, it must be the correct or best choice. This is often based on the assumption that the majority knows something we don't. Fear of missing out. People worry that by not following the crowd, they might miss out on something important or beneficial. This fear drives them to conform to group behaviors. Reduced decision-making effort. Following the crowd can simplify decision-making. Instead of evaluating all the options, people rely on others' choices as a shortcut to making their own decisions. Examples of the bandwagon effect. Fashion trends. If a particular style of clothing becomes popular, more people start wearing it, not necessarily because they like it, but because they see others doing it. For example, when a celebrity starts wearing a specific brand of sneakers, fans and followers may start buying the same sneakers to feel trendy or connected to the celebrity. Social media challenges. When a new challenge or trend goes viral on social media, like the Ice Bucket Challenge, people often participate because they see their friends and others doing it. They want to be part of the buzz and not feel left out. Voting in elections. If people perceive that a certain political candidate is gaining widespread support, they might vote for that candidate because they believe everyone else is voting for them. They assume that the popular choice must be the best or the safest bet. Technology adoption. When a new gadget, like the latest smartphone model, becomes popular, many people rush to buy it because they see others doing the same. The popularity of the gadget creates a perception that it must be the best or most desirable option. Product reviews and ratings. If a product has many positive reviews and a high rating, people are more likely to buy it because they believe the positive feedback reflects the quality of the product. They assume that if so many others like it, it must be good. The bandwagon effect shows how social influence can shape our choices and behaviors. Understanding this can help us recognize when we're being influenced by others and encourage us to make more thoughtful decisions based on our own preferences and needs. Do you know the door-in-the-face technique is a psychological strategy where someone first makes a large request that is likely to be refused, and then follows up with a smaller, more reasonable request? The idea is that by refusing the large request, the person feels a bit guilty or feels they should compromise, so they are more likely to agree to the smaller request. Why does the door-in-the-face technique work? Contrast effect. When the large request is refused, the smaller request seems much more reasonable in comparison. It's like asking for a huge favor and then a much smaller one. By comparison, the second request feels easier to agree to. Reciprocity. After turning down the big request, people feel a social obligation to return the favor by agreeing to the smaller request. They feel that since the person making the request compromised by lowering their demands, they should also compromise by agreeing. Guilt reduction, refusing the first request might make people feel a little guilty, and agreeing to the second request helps reduce that guilt. It's a way of making amends or balancing out the refusal. Examples of the door-in-the-face technique. Fundraising. Large request. A fundraiser asks if you can donate $500 to a cause. Smaller request. After you say no, they ask if you could donate $20 instead. The second request feels much more manageable, so you're more likely to agree. Chores at home. Large request. A teenager asks their parent if they can stay out all night at a friend's party. Smaller request. When the parent says no, the teenager then asks if they can stay out until midnight instead. The parent is more likely to agree to the midnight request because it seems more reasonable. Negotiations. Large request. An employee asks their boss for a significant pay raise of 30%. Smaller request. After the boss declines, the employee then asks for a 10% raise. The 10% raise feels more acceptable after the initial, much larger request. Retail sales. Large request. A salesperson tries to sell you an expensive, high-end product. Smaller request. After you decline, they offer a more affordable, mid-range option. The mid-range option feels like a better deal after seeing the price of the high-end product. Volunteering. Large request. A community organizer asks if you could volunteer every weekend for a month. Smaller request. When you refuse, they ask if you could volunteer just this weekend. The single weekend commitment feels much more reasonable in comparison. The door-in-the-face technique works because it plays on our natural tendencies to seek balance, compromise, and fairness in our interactions. By understanding how it works, we can recognize when it's being used on us and decide how we want to respond. The concept of authority in psychology refers to the power or influence that someone perceived as an expert, leader, or figure of authority has over others. People are naturally inclined to follow or listen to those they view as knowledgeable or powerful. This tendency is deeply rooted in human psychology and social conditioning. Why does authority work? Social learning. From a young age, we are taught to respect and obey authority figures like parents, teachers, and leaders. This early learning creates a habit of deferring to authority, believing they know best. Cognitive shortcut. Authority provides a mental shortcut or heuristic for decision-making. Instead of analyzing every piece of information, we rely on the guidance of someone we believe knows more about the subject. Trust and safety. People often trust authority figures because they believe these individuals have their best interests at heart or have more knowledge and experience. Following authority can feel like a safer choice. Fear of consequences. There can be a fear of negative consequences if one disobeys an authority figure. This fear can range from mild social disapproval to more severe repercussions like losing a job. Social order and structure. Authority helps maintain social order by providing structure and clear guidelines on how to behave. This can make group settings more predictable and less chaotic. Examples of authority in action. Medical professionals. When a doctor recommends a specific treatment or medication, most people will follow the advice without questioning it, because they view the doctor as an expert with authority in the field of medicine. Police officers. If a police officer directs traffic or gives an order, people tend to comply immediately. The uniform, badge, and role itself convey authority, and people follow instructions to maintain safety and avoid penalties. Teachers in a classroom. Students typically listen to and obey their teachers because they are seen as authority figures in the educational environment. This authority is reinforced by the school's rules and the teacher's knowledge. Business leaders. Employees often follow the directives of their managers or CEOs without question because these figures hold authority within the organization. They are trusted to make decisions that align with the company's goals. Advertising with experts. When a toothpaste commercial features a dentist endorsing the product, people are more likely to buy it. The dentist's authority as a healthcare professional makes the recommendation more convincing. Understanding how authority works can help you recognize when you're being influenced by it and decide whether to follow or question the authority based on the situation. Do you know gaslighting is a form of manipulation where someone makes another person doubt their own thoughts, memories, or perception of reality? The goal of gaslighting is to make the victim feel confused, anxious, and unable to trust themselves, which can make them easier to control. Why does gaslighting work? Gaslighting works because it targets a person's sense of reality. When someone is repeatedly told that what they remember or feel isn't true, they start to question their own mind. This creates confusion and makes them more dependent on the gaslighter for a sense of reality and truth. The gaslighter's constant denial, lying, or manipulation wears down the victim's confidence and self-esteem, making them doubt their own judgment. Here's a simple breakdown of why gaslighting is effective. Repetition, constantly repeating the same false statements or denying the truth, makes the victim start to doubt their memory and perception. Authority, the gaslighter often positions themselves as someone who knows better, making the victim trust them over their own experiences. Isolation, gaslighters may isolate their victims from others, who could validate their experiences, making them more dependent on the gaslighter's version of events. Emotional manipulation, gaslighters may use love, care, or guilt to make the victim feel bad about questioning them, making it harder for the victim to see the manipulation. Gradual process, gaslighting often starts small and builds up over time, so the victim doesn't notice the manipulation until it's already deeply affecting them. 5 examples of gaslighting. Denying events. Example, you remember having a conversation about an important decision with someone, but when you bring it up later, they insist, "We never talked about that." You're imagining things. Over time, you might start to believe that you misremembered the conversation. Twisting reality. Example, if you confront someone about a hurtful comment they made, they might say, "I never said that." You're just being too sensitive. You always overreact. This makes you question your feelings and whether the comment was actually hurtful. Forgetting or denying promises. Example, a person promises to help you with a project, but when you ask for their help later, they say, "I never agreed to that." Why are you making things up? You start to doubt your memory and feel guilty for asking. Blaming the victim. Example, if you express being upset about their behavior, the gaslighter might respond, "You're always finding reasons to be upset. You're so dramatic." This shifts the focus away from their behavior and makes you doubt your feelings. Withholding information. Example, they intentionally leave out important details or give vague answers, then later claim, "I told you everything you needed to know. If you were confused, that's on you, not me." This tactic makes you feel inadequate or stupid for not understanding. Gaslighting is harmful because it erodes a person's trust in themselves, leading to anxiety, depression, and a loss of confidence. It's important to recognize the signs of gaslighting to protect oneself from this form of emotional manipulation.